You're doing everything right. You're training hard, staying consistent, and even squeezing in some cardio. And despite all that effort, nothing's changing. Your scale won't budge, your clothes feel the same, and when you look in the mirror, that muscle definition you've been working so hard for, still MIA. And it's not bad luck or terrible genetics, it's just that you're missing the most crucial piece of the puzzle: nutrition. In today's video, I'm going to break down exactly how your diet's been letting you down, and most importantly, how to fix it. Apply these simple changes for just a month, and you will be blown away at how much closer you are to the body that you've been dreaming of. Before we dive into calories and all the different diets that you can follow, let's first start with where most people go wrong. When I first started my fitness journey, I was coming off the back of some very serious diet culture programming. I wish I was kidding when I say I thought I could only eat bread once a day, couldn't eat past 6 p.m, and could only have oatmeal on the weekends as a treat. Looking back, it's pretty obvious those rules don't make any sense. But the real issue wasn't in the rules themselves, but the fact that I lacked the basic understanding of nutrition. Without knowing how food actually affects your body, I had no way of cutting through the noise that I was seeing online. So to prevent you from making the same mistakes I did, let's quickly break down the basics. Everything we eat is made up of calories, which are units of measurement representing the amount of energy our body can get from food. Your body then uses this energy to either perform certain tasks immediately or to store it for later use. This is how people end up gaining fat. They simply eat more than their body needs over a consistent period of time. It's not any one specific food itself that makes someone fat, it's the excess calories you've eaten that's the culprit. So now we know what calories are and how they actually affect what your body looks like. How can you apply this information to achieve your dream body? Well, first we need to define one clear goal. Do you want to lose fat, gain muscle, or both? Determining your goal kind of depends on where you're starting now. If you're starting overweight, then fat loss might be your main goal. If you're starting underweight, then maybe gaining some muscle would be your goal. I'll break down how you achieve each one of these goals in turn, and I'll also pop up some timestamps on the screen for those of you who have attention spans like goldfish and don't want to sit through it all. First, let's start with fat loss. To make your body use the energy that it's storing, you need to create a negative energy balance, also known as a calorie deficit. This is where you eat less energy or calories that your body expends on a daily basis, making your body use what it's already got for fuel. You do this in two simple steps. First, find your maintenance calories, also known as the amount needed to match your daily energy expenditure. You can do this really easily using an online calculator, or I'll also pop up a formula that you can use on screen now where you just input all your information and get a rough estimation. Second, subtraction. Once you have your maintenance number, you're going to subtract anywhere between 250 and 500 calories from that number. 250 calories less than your maintenance on a daily basis will have you losing around half a pound a week, and then 500 calories will have you losing around a pound. Unless you are overweight or severely overweight, do not go over the 500 calorie deficit number. Research has shown that going above this is much less effective at preserving or increasing lean mass and doesn't improve strength and power performance to the same extent as the slower rates of loss do. If you stay around the 500 calorie deficit mark or even below this number, you can do something that people like to call body recomposition, where you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. After a few weeks of losing weight, you'll probably notice that the scale doesn't drop as quickly as it did at the start. Don't panic, it's simply because you're now at a lower body weight that needs less calories or energy to run. So all you need to do is decrease your calories a little bit more to put yourself back into that deficit, and once you hit your physique or weight loss goal, simply calculate your new body weight's maintenance calories using the same methods that we did before and jump straight to that number, or slowly increase your calories by around 100 to 200 each week until you reach that new calorie number. Secondly, muscle gain. Now, how you go about eating in line with this goal will depend on three main things: how trained you are, your current body fat level, and how comfortable you are with gaining fat. For instance, eating in a surplus or eating more calories than your body needs on a daily basis with the goal of maximizing the amount of muscle you put on only really applies to newbies in the gym who are relatively lean, or people who have been training for a while that are lean and are okay with gaining a little bit of fat. Research has shown that for those of us who have been training for a while, people who eat at maintenance show similar gains in muscle thickness to people who eat in a surplus, but those in the surplus gain significantly more fat. This seems to be because we don't yet know how much extra energy we need to build muscle faster, and a lot of our best guesses still end in overshooting. But that's not to say that a surplus won't work for you, you just need to be extra mindful of the additional calories you're consuming. As a guideline, if you're new to the gym and you're starting out relatively lean, aiming for a 10 to 20% surplus over your maintenance calories is a great way to build muscle without stacking on unnecessary fat. That's around 0.25 to 0.5% of your body weight gained each week, or if you maintain on 2,000 calories a day, that'll look a little bit like a 200 to 400 calorie surplus. If you're already trained, you will need a much smaller surplus in order to keep fat gain in check. Somewhere around 5 to 10% above your maintenance, or aiming to gain around 0.25% of your body weight each week. And if your maintenance is 2,000 calories, that means eating only around 100 to 200 calories extra each day, which is about 2 medium-sized apples. But for both trained and untrained individuals, start out by trialing a very conservative surplus and see how your body responds. Do this for around a month or two, and if you're not gaining anything at all or staying the same in the gym strength-wise, then scale up a little bit. And conversely, if you're noticing that you're gaining more fat than you are muscle, then scale it down a little bit. But if you're starting out overweight or carrying a little bit more body fat than you would like and still want to gain muscle, you will need to be in a calorie deficit. So refer back to my fat loss section to see exactly how to eat in line with that goal. And once we have our calories all set up to reach our physique goal, we need to take a deeper look at what makes up those calories. Technically, you can reach your goals with a bad diet as long as you're staying within your calorie allotment, but you are making it a lot harder than this needs to be. Research from a tightly controlled inpatient study found that people ate around 500 calories more per day when following an ultra-processed diet compared to an unprocessed one, even with meals being matched for calories, sugar, fat, protein, sodium, and fiber. The ultra-processed diet led to more rapid eating, greater calorie intake, and weight gain, while the unprocessed diet led to weight loss. But it wasn't that the foods in the ultra-processed group were more calorie dense per se, it's that the properties of ultra-processed foods, like being easier to chew, less filling, and highly palatable, made people eat more before their fullness signals kicked in. For this reason, if you want to look a certain way and not suffer while you're doing it, it's important to focus on the quality of calories you consume and not just the calorie number themselves. So let's talk a little bit about macros and micros and what you should focus on in order to get the best results possible. First, we have protein. Protein is not only key in the muscle building process, but can increase satiety and even improve body composition due to it demanding more energy to be broken down. So, how much should you eat to see the most benefit? If you're weight training, research suggests that you should be eating around 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight daily, which equates to around 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you feel constrained by your budget or you just find protein harder to eat in general, then stay closer to that 0.8 gram recommendation. But if you are in a calorie deficit and looking to preserve lean muscle as much as possible, I would err on the side of caution and go for around 1 gram per pound of body weight daily. Don't worry about the timing of your protein consumption, just as long as your total intake is met during the day. But in saying that, spreading your protein equally throughout all your meals, so around 30 to 40 grams in each meal, makes it much easier to get in, rather than just trying to cram in 100 or 150 grams in one mega meal. The highest quality proteins that are going to get you the best results are those that contain the essential amino acids, particularly leucine, which is crucial for muscle protein synthesis. I'll pop up a table on screen now with the sources that I would personally recommend for meat eaters, vegans, and vegetarians. Next, carbs. Carbohydrates often get such a bad rap, especially in the clean eating community, but the truth is, unless you are medically obliged, you shouldn't really be cutting out carbs. Carbs are your body's preferred source of fuel during training, especially resistance training. When you lift, your body mainly taps into your stored muscle glycogen, which comes from the carbs you eat to fuel your lift. If your glycogen stores are consistently low, then your body tends to start breaking down amino acids, which are the essential building blocks of muscle, in order to meet its energy needs. So, how many carbs do you need? If you're lifting regularly, especially with moderate to high volume, the research supports aiming for around 4 to 7 grams of carbohydrate per kilo of your body weight per day, which is around 1.8 to 3.2 grams per pound. While you can benefit from prioritizing your carbs around your workouts, it's your total carb intake that's key. But what types of carbs should you be eating? Research has suggested that whole grains such as rye, wheat, oats, barley, or buckwheat have an edge over refined grains when it comes to consistently reducing hunger or increasing satiety. Although it may make you feel fuller, it doesn't necessarily translate into you eating less over the course of the day. So while whole grains might not magically drop your calorie intake, they can help support appetite control, which is helpful in the long run if your goal is to lose weight. And finally, fat. Contrary to popular belief, no, fats do not make you fat, but they are higher higher in calories per gram, making them very easy to overconsume. Without getting too much into it, because I realize that the sections are getting quite long now, the general recommendation is to eat around 20 to 35% of your calories from fats. One thing I would really like to stress here is avoid dropping your fat below around 15 to 20% of your total energy intake, especially if you're a woman, even if you're on a cut. Going too low can impair your nutrient absorption, can make it harder to get calories in, and can disrupt your hormones, which is something we want to avoid at all costs. So now we've covered what to eat, let's look at how to eat in order to reach your goals but also keep your sanity in check. This first hack is something that I use myself as someone who has a stomach that seems to be unending. Volume eating. The idea with volume eating is that your stomach sends fullness signals not just based on the food you eat, but how full it makes your stomach. That's why you can eat 1200 calories of pizza and still feel hungry, but if you ate 1200 calories of spinach, you would be bursting at the seams. So here is exactly how I build high volume meals that keep me full in my deficit and stop me from throwing hands with people on the street by week 3 of my calorie deficit. First, start with a salad base, always. Low calorie leafy greens bulk up the plate with barely any calories. Lettuce, spinach, cucumber are my holy trinity, but the goal is to fill the bowl, not your calorie budget. Second, sneak fruit and veg into literally everything. Grate them, blend them, chuck them into sauces, stir fry, oats, whatever works. And third, add protein. Egg whites, lean meats, Greek yogurt, tofu, cottage cheese, beans, whatever floats your macro boat. Protein keeps you full and actually supports your goals. Fourth, add carbs. Go for anything that tickles the pickle, but sources like whole grains, potatoes, lentils, and beans bring body, fiber, and pair perfectly with protein and fat for the long-lasting fullness trifecta. And finally, fifth, add healthy fats. Just because we're eating for volume doesn't mean we're going low fat. A bit of cheese, avocado, eggs, olive oil, or nuts can make your meal satisfying and slow digestion. Another hack that I use to hit my protein goal easier is basing your meals around your protein source. So instead of getting to dinner and thinking, I really fancy potatoes, stop and think to yourself, what is my protein source here? And then design a meal that also involves potato around that protein source. That way you'll hit your protein goal without having to panic smack stuff on your plate just to hit 30 grams of protein. Now that you have everything you need nutritionally in order to reach your dream body, let's talk a little bit about the reality that is life. On this journey, the most important thing for you to master is flexibility, consistency, and dealing with real life. You're going to have days where you're knackered, your kid eats your meal prep, holidays, and weird work shifts. That's normal, and that is life. The people who succeed long-term in getting and maintaining their ideal bodies aren't perfect. They're just consistent enough, flexible when needed, and know how to adapt their typical habits into new situations. Remind yourself that it's not about hitting 100% every day, it's about knowing what to do when you hit 60 and still move forward. But that is all I have for you guys today. Please let me know down below if you find this video helpful and realize any of the nutritional mistakes that you were making that were holding you back. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're down there and join the family. Hopefully I will catch you guys in my next one.